in 2 seconds. All right, I believe that we are live now. Welcome. My name is Dr. Venus Evans Winters, also known as Dr. V, and I am here today with my co-host Raven and Dr. Elaine Richardson. So welcome to Planet Venus. I am the creator and co-founder of Planet Venus and Planet Venus Institute as well. I said co-founder, I guess this is a collective and a community. And I'm also a research and policy scholar, as well as a licensed clinical psychotherapist in private practice and a certified clinical trauma professional. And so here at Planet Venus, Dr. E, we talk about everything mental wealth, especially as it relates to Black girls, Black women, the Black community, and Indigenous and other women of color. And I want my co-host, Raven, I'll allow her to introduce herself, and then Dr. E will go over to you.
Yes. Hey, everybody. I am Raven Preston. I am a master's student in rhetoric and composition with a half slant in technical communication. I am the director of technical communication over at Planet Venus. And I'm really excited to be here with Dr. Elaine Richardson just because I have been reading so many of her articles and I didn't realize it as I was like emailing her. I was like, oh my God. So I'm very excited. Dr. V underplays things to me all the time.
Oh, we're groupies, Dr. E. Dr. E, I'll let you introduce yourself because I don't even know where to start.
Oh my God. I'm just a sister from Cleveland, Ohio, who was blessed enough to have the parents that I had, the mentors that I had, the people that God put in my path to help me to recover from trauma that I had as a child that led me to be very vulnerable and exploited by every guy that looked like they wanted to like me. If they looked like they wanted to like me, so, but anyway, long, story, and maybe some of it will come up today. But that I have to always forward that because it informs my research, it informs my writing, it informs my community engagement, it informs my music. Everything that I do is coming from that place of, I feel like I went through all of that for a reason, and so that's who I am. I am a professor at the Ohio State University of Literacy Studies, and I call myself a performance activist. And I'm steadily growing into who I am, steadily growing, trying to figure out how to make my life work in a space that was not created for me. And, trying to make sure that I stay on the path of what God has for me to do while I'm there, and to use all of those means of the resources that I have from there and the people who support me and people like yourself who God has put in my path. Your scholarship, Sister Venus, has influenced the work that not only me, but I'm pretty sure most Black women who do work in Black girlhood studies, Black women and girls in education, intersectionality, I could go on. But it's just been wonderful to be in community with you and to meet Sister Raven, and to get the accolades from you is, I appreciate all words of life that come out of people's mouth that are for me, that are put in the atmosphere. So I appreciate your love.
So speaking of the atmosphere, so I met you when you were going by Dr. E.
I'm still Dr. E.
Dr.
I'm Dr. E. And I'm Dr. E. And I'm also Dr. Elaine Richardson.
You're the inspirational soul queen.
Inspirational soul queen. Yes.
Yes, for the record. And so I had to be honest. Now, I don't know if you were thinking about me last night, but I was thinking about you. So what happened was, this is why I'm looking all tired. I was like, this is a ponytail day. So what happened was I like popped up at about 1 o'clock in the morning, like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have Dr. E live. And I just got nervous. And so,
Oh.
and so me being, the meditation queen, I was like, okay, we're gonna calm
Mm.
down. We have this.
Mm.
And I kept telling myself, you've done dozens, if not hundreds of interviews, right? For the last 20 years. So why are you nervous? And then I was like, oh, because you know what? I thought about it. Dr. E is because you're so complex, right?
Mm.
I was reading your bio when I was trying to figure out how to tag you on Instagram, and you actually have multi-dimensional,
Yes.
and I thought multi-dimensional spirit.
Yes.
And so, you give a lot of us permission. So when you
Mm.
lead with
Mm.
that forward that you just led with, right? You're telling us it's okay. It's
Mm.
okay to be complex. It's
Mm.
okay to say, you know what? I'm wearing all these hats, crowns, right?
Come
Wraps.
on.
That's
Mhm.
what you do, right? And so once I said, oh, this gonna be like what we do, sitting on the front porch, because you can
Mm.
bring it from many angles, many
Mm.
languages, many tongues, many dialects, because you
Mm.
are multidimensional. So I just
Mm.
said, you know what? Watch us do this.
Come
Yeah.
on.
So I didn't have to be nervous. I was only nervous when I thought of us in this box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what, too? I think a little bit of nervousness is always good. And because I always have that little,
Mhm.
but I just call on my sister, Dr. Maya Angelou, who said, when I enter 10,000, enter with
I know
me.
that's
Mm.
right.
Right. And
Mhm.
also, I think about Luther Vandross, who also said, it's time for you to stop doing what you do when you don't feel the butterflies anymore.
Mhm.
So you gonna all, that
Mhm.
just shows the God, the goddess, and however you understand the higher
Mhm.
power in you that's working through you to do what you do. That's
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
feeling it,
That
and
explains a lot, Raven. See, I lost the butterflies. That's why I quit my oppressor. I just said I don't feel it like no more. It wasn't just about toxicity or not being valued. I just didn't
Exactly.
have that anymore. It was like, oh, I don't respect that particular,
mm,
work anymore. So
mm,
I didn't have the butterflies. I love that. And so,
mm,
Dr. E, can you tell us um, just more about who you are, right?
mhm.
Who are you? When you hear that, what comes to mind?
I am Black. I love being Black. I love being a Black woman. And it's been a journey, it's a journey. I'm still on it. So, and oh my God, I love God. I love people.
Mhm.
I love young people. They keep you young. They keep me young. I'm
See,
not
Raven. See,
I'm not
Raven.
that
That's why you
spry
can't go
little thing.
nowhere.
Say it again.
That's why Raven can't go nowhere.
I feel like I keep getting older. I'm just like, I feel like
Oh
I'm
my
about
God.
30, 40.
I'm still just, learning how to love myself,
Mm.
learning how to not take things personally,
Mhm.
like in the a former me, a former version of myself. I used to get, and I still can get a little bit, but it's got to be somebody close to me now that can
Mhm.
hurt me. But
Mhm.
people, I used to, anybody look at me, I felt like they know I was the girl that was on the corner. They know I
Mhm.
was the girl that was turning tricks. They looking at me because they know I'm from the ghetto. I'm not pretty. My lips are too big. All these things that I had, criticism about myself, not loving myself. And so it's been a journey, and it's been so beautiful just figuring out and seeing how much I am worth to the creator and to myself.
Mhm.
Because there's a reason why I'm still here, my sister, because I was supposed to be dead. I mean, I know I wasn't supposed to be because I'm not,
Mhm.
but in a way, I was supposed to be dead so many times.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
many times I was supposed to be dead. And so I try to lead with that gratitude all the time,
Mhm.
you know. And like you were saying, leaving your oppressor, I feel like God still has me on the plantation for a reason, and
Mm.
I gotta find my way off though. I don't want to be like some people who leave off the plantation in a wheel on the motor. I've seen
Yeah.
people in that motor car, and they still,
Yeah.
But maybe that's what God had for them to do. I don't know, but I just hope that's not what He has for me. Please,
Hmm.
God, Mother God, Father God, Sister God, they God, my God. That's not what I want. So I'm trying to get, but I feel like you know, they say that they're about diversity, inclusion, excellence in diversity, about community, and all these things. And I feel like I am that. I am
Hmm.
that person that has this wealth, what you call mental wealth, and
Hmm.
cultural wealth. I have these
Hmm.
cultural ways of knowing. I have the spirit of all the ways that I know how to be and be excellent. The Black uh, traditions that I carry uh, to bring to with me on my educational journey through Ohio State or wherever I am, that there are many, many Elaine Richardsons out there who can be in here and make a difference. And so when they see somebody like me and they find out she up there talking about she po-ho on dope, the PhD, and she in there. Oh, I know I can get in. I know
Hmm.
I got what, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I lead with that, because that's a part of,
Hmm.
my work. It's a part of my research on Black language and Black literacies. Um, you know, I'm just figuring out all the ways that I can serve the Most High with the gifts that I have and be true to myself. That's one of the things that Sister Cicely Tyson, every clip I've
Hmm.
watched of her in the last couple of days has said, talked about being true to you,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and so I'm just trying to be true to myself and not hold myself back, you know. But I feel that God has the people out here for me that will embrace what I have to offer, and that I just have to keep believing in what I'm doing. Because sometimes I've not, and I say, oh,
Hmm.
my book didn't do this, or oh, my music didn't do that. But it's because I stopped believing for a minute. You got to push
Hmm.
for what you want. You got to keep your agenda out there. You got to
Hmm.
keep coming back. We all fall short sometimes. We all feel, um, the devil always trying to kill a sister.
Yeah.
Come on, let's be real. Trying to
You
steal your mental wealth.
Hmm.
So you got to
just said
fight
something
that
that I
thing.
thought was, that's exactly what I was gonna say. You talked about being misaligned, right? And so I think when you talk about the butterflies too being gone, but I knew that it was time for me to walk away or step aside, depending on how you look at it, because when I start to feel mentally, spiritually, and culturally misaligned. So I was just thinking of that body. You know how your body like misaligned and the
Yeah.
chiropractor comes in and wants to pop stuff and move muscles and get you stretched out. Yeah, so that's what I thought about. So can you talk more? Because I actually had it on here. Tell me more about your thoughts on Cicely Tyson, because I know you're an artist and you're really into like beauty and art, but
Oh my
also who is
God.
your muse?
Ooh, I have so many muses. I have many. One of them, like I
I knew
said,
she was
is,
gonna say
is
that,
Maya
Raven.
Angelou.
I knew she was gonna say that.
Maya Angelou, definitely.
Hmm.
I've watched her over and over again. I just pull her up and watch her because number one, when I found out that she too had been in sex trafficking, I was like, yes, and look at her, you know. But when you talk about Cicely Tyson, which is, my two granddaughters last night watched the autobiography of Jane Pittman. I said, we got to watch this because I wanted them to see why everybody is giving her accolades. look at what, this role that she played, how she played.
Mm,
I mean, she brought something to that role, man. I mean, my goodness,
mhm,
my goodness, my goodness, my goodness.
Mhm.
I haven't read her book yet. I want to read her book because when she said, I saw a clip from her the other day. Somebody said, watch her clip with Gail King.
mhm.
I think that's the one where she said, I sucked my teeth. Or maybe that was on Roland Martin. So many of them I've watched this week, talking about her. Anyway, she said, I sucked my teeth when I was little. And so my teeth are bucked. And I was going, for some parts or whatever. And they told her, you're going to have to get your teeth fixed. And she said, no,
Mm.
I like my teeth
Mm.
like this. I like my teeth like this. That
Mhm.
helped me. And I just saw that this
Mhm.
yesterday or the day before. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So every time I see a Black woman that has the courage to accept who she is
Mhm.
and walk in that thing, she walked in her thing.
She did.
She wore her natural hair,
Mhm.
way, way, way before, it was
Mm.
like
Mm.
now. I mean, I'm sure every era has its, natural hair, um, crusade. But she was, when she
Mhm.
did it, it really, especially
Mhm.
because it wasn't a big afro. It was
Mhm.
a small,
Crop.
beautiful
Mhm.
afro on her with her
Mhm.
lips looking beautiful. It's like
Mhm.
here, my teeth are
Mhm.
buck and I'm all that with my
Mhm.
natural hair. And I'm thin and I'm me. And I'm walking
Mhm.
through this world,
Mhm.
with the confidence of a Black woman. And this is who I am, and I love myself. That
Mhm.
says a lot.
Mhm. And
Well,
rich black skin, rich black skin.
Rich Black.
Mhm.
exactly.
And I remember
Mhm.
when I was younger, trying to figure out how to love myself.
Mm.
I remember seeing Gladys Knight on Soul Train because one of the nicknames that people called me was Rubber Lips because
Mm.
my lips are thick.
Mm.
And I have an underbite as opposed to Cicely Tyson, who had an overbite, right? I remember seeing Gladys Knight on Soul Train
Mhm.
and how beautiful her big, thick lips were. And I thought, wow, now there's a pretty Black lady with big lips. And ain't nobody
Mhm.
saying nothing about her lips. And if they are, she's singing them off in front of you right now from the Soul Train stage. So so you just got, my whole journey is just being about journey of being confident in what God
Mhm.
gave me.
Mhm.
We had this conversation on Planet Venus. And so, Dr. E, you have to come back because Planet Venus is an intergenerational conversation. So, it's a couple more young people, and we're actually training young people and teaching them about mental wealth and mental health as it relates to Black girls and Black women. So, I think our youngest student is probably 14,
Yeah. She's.
and they range in age to college age, and we have the mental wealth for women. But we
Mhm.
had this conversation and we talked about our own vulnerability. So I'm glad you mentioned your lips. I think I talked about my lips because that
Mhm.
was the thing, in high school.
Mhm.
Luckily, I had brothers who didn't play that, what, and they would check some people for certain comments that were inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But I talked about my forehead,
Yeah.
which I'm showing today because Dr. E be sporting her forehead, her and Rihanna. So come through foreheads. And
I just,
Raven, what was I remember yours? What was your
man, mine was always that mine were not small enough. I mean, like mine were too small. Like I grew up with my mom and my sister. Like they were always the most beautiful people to me, and like they had beautiful full lips, and I'm like, I don't really have anything. And so like there's even like this idea of what a Black woman's supposed to look like,
Mm-hmm.
and what kind of characteristics they're supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
That also feeds into our, our our self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I do have a question for the both of you because I feel like working with Dr. V, she's one of the most authentic people I've met, especially in academia. And even looking at your research and then now meeting you, what kind of advice do both of you have for someone who like me is in the institution, learning from the institution and making the institution work for you and not working for the institution, and being exploited and
Mm.
learning how to actually use these things that the university is teaching us to bring back skills to our communities.
Mm.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm. That's a good one. That's a good one. I think finding like-minded graduate students like yourself
I'm gonna get a link.
and professors. You know, you got to find your support system wherever you are. That's been my what I've tried to do. Um, I I was blessed. I was really blessed when I really look back on my doctoral experience. My mentor, uh, she was just like she was like a running. I guess is that a running back? Who runs in front of the person
Mm-hmm.
who's running the
Yeah.
ball in
Yeah.
football?
Yeah.
For
Running
me,
back.
she cleared the path for me.
Mm.
Because number one, she was an authentic black. You know, her own version of being off. You know, everybody is who they are. So I'm not saying that other people are not authentic. I'm saying her black woman blackness that she taught with in the classroom, that she mentored me with. She modeled how to be there for other black women and men and whoever. I remember being in her office where I often was, and she and other professors would be talking about people's tenure cases and how they were going to make sure that this person made tenure.
Mm.
You know, so she was there for her, junior colleagues, making sure that they had what, because she was senior to them, a university distinguished professor a long time. So she was always doing battle for other people. And she did it for me just by the way she told, like this may not work for everybody, but it worked for me because of where I came from. Take this class. Don't take that class.
Yeah,
Take this professor.
Mm-hmm.
Put this professor. I'm putting this person on your committee.
Mm-hmm.
She bossed me. She kind of bossed me around. She
Mm-hmm.
kind of she made a way for me because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to do it. Right. She told me what classes to take. She put the people on my committee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and she was just a strong black woman. And she had a lot of haters. You're gonna have haters. And some of them gonna look like you.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them
Yes.
gonna look like you, unfortunately. Because
Unfortunately.
everybody's on a different thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing, they doing them. Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
doing it. But I would say just make sure that God has people in your path for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you got us, even though I'm not at your institution, you still know me and you could call me or email me and talk to me about something. You got Dr. V, and I'm sure there's other like-minded graduates. One thing I love about this movement for Black Lives right now is people are, they speaking truth to power. And it empowers all of us when we see other people speaking truth to power. It's like, let me clear this up way about my throat and tell you that I'm standing on my foot. Take your knee off my neck. I mean, it's the time now for people to be bonding together to speak truth to power, because even though, let me just put it like this. Now is the time. We don't know when it will end, because it's a cyclical thing, it seems to be. But now is the time for people to move in organization and in solidarity with organizations and speak truth to power while the spotlight is on racial and gender inequity and LGBTQ oppression and all the isms. Now is the time to be moving on that. So, what you
And
think?
yeah, I just piggyback off of Dr. E. And the first thing I thought about was the hip hop literacy conference convening. And so one strategy beyond, your home base is when I saw the hip hop literacy conference being advertised or talked about. I think it was on Facebook, or it could have been other circles too back then. It was probably on the website. And I had an invitation, but I just reached out to Dr. E and was like, Dr. E, I have a whole group of girls that I got behind me,
I
and
remember those girls that came with you too.
I do too, girl.
We worked them right on into the program. They were up there saying their poetry and everything, and that was
Wow.
They did, and we took a 6 hour car ride,
you
me
did.
and an entire basketball team, because where we come from, the girls might be strong in their resolve academically, disposition wise, athletically, socially, but there's not a lot of culture, like poured into them, or resistance strategies. They think they have to adapt in order to fit in, as opposed to resist in order to change systems. And so remember, I was like, they need to be here.
Mhm.
And what happened was, I don't think you all knew this on your side, they began, even after 6 hours, even after 6 hour drive, they began to feel, I'm going to say despondent, Dr. E, despondent, sad. They didn't know you existed.
Mm, mm,
They didn't know that the other women scholars, they really loved Brittany Cooper, believe it or not. They still talk about her, and they are young adults right now. They're all in late high school, early college. But they felt like, why hadn't we seen people like this, who
mhm.
were not only intelligent but strong in their resolve? Because if you're at the hip hop literacy conference, we throw our weight around. We
Yeah,
switch our asses still,
yeah.
and we talk like this, okay, and we wear earrings like this, and then you hear people saying, she wrote this book and she wrote that article and she was on this show, blah blah blah. And it's not about stunting, because guess what, we were centering Black girls and Black women and
Uh-huh.
Black culture.
Yeah.
And so, Dr. E, but yeah, they talk about that now. So that made them sad, and they like, Dr. V, can we get on stage? And I'm like, this ain't my conference. But
But it is. But
that
it
was
is.
their healing. So they got hit, or what we would call triggered, but then they needed to speak, because they never really had that much space or
Mhm.
felt that much comfort. And Raven, I think that's a part of survival. And I think that's what Cicely Tyson talks about,
Mhm.
and Maya Angelou. I'm going to put my stuff right here in the center of the stage, and we're going to own it, and we're
Mhm.
going to embrace it, and we're
Mhm.
going to learn together how to resist any sword that comes up against us. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's it, has to be reaching out and
Mhm.
bringing others along. and,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I think that's what Dr. E has done, but that's what she gives permission for others to do. And I think that's daughtering. I know we don't like some words now, they're not cute, they're not sexy, it sounds hierarchical, or you stepping, you're trying to take on languages of the colonizer. No,
Mhm.
because we still should be in a state where we have our sisters who've been through it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
giving us
We're still
permission,
going through it.
still going through it, still
We're
going
still
through it,
going through it.
still going through it
And
till
you
that
know what?
crown fix
It's
it.
such an honor for you to say that I've given permission, because everything that I've done, from the African American reading when I was at Penn State, the Ebonics conference when I was at
Mhm.
the University of Minnesota, the Hip Hop Literacies conference here, and now my work with the Columbus Women and Girls Fest, and the after school club. Everything that I've done, it was, it was, of course, it was for other people, but it was like, I need this. I
Mhm.
need to be in community with Black people
Mhm.
who are dealing with uh, all these forces that are trying to kill us. I need to hear a 5-year-old girl recite a poem
Mhm.
by uh, Maya Angelou. I need these young people to be writing these essays.
Mhm.
When I was living in central Pennsylvania, where there was, I think, two Black educators in the whole school system. Uh, one was a principal at the elementary school one of my daughters was going to, and one was the vice principal at the high school.
Mhm.
Two Black educators. No, the school system told me, I mean, one of the principals told me, she said, we just got Martin Luther King Day 2 years ago. This was long, this is when I was at Penn State. So being in that type of environment, when I'm in an environment, it's like I got to create it. It's not, I got to make myself, you know what I'm saying? I have to create my people. I got to find my people here. I got to create this thing that I crave. I crave this, and it's the same thing with the Hip Hop Literacies Conference, the Ebonics Conference. Everything that I've done is because God created a way for me to read, Geneva Smitherman's book, Talking and Testifying, when I was an undergraduate student, and they were writing and marking up my papers and telling me, that I was illiterate and couldn't talk and couldn't read and couldn't think and needed, to just be assimilated into the university and into humanity. Because basically that's what they're saying. If they don't accept your language and your history and your culture, who you are, that you need to be,
You know what's interesting, Dr. E? When I was going through undergrad and grad school, I had wrote for the newspaper even in high school and in undergrad. I didn't have the markups, but people would tell me, write the way that you speak. It wasn't until I was a junior faculty assistant professor that I realized I was losing my mother's tongue.
Wow.
So I had to go back and fetch it.
Come on.
And my hashtag, Save Black English, is because I realized when I started raising my own children, and when I started listening to the youth, I said, oh my God, I'm losing my mother's tongue. They're stripping us. I was good. I mean, I'm good at, the academic English, when writing, but it was different. So I think that's interesting. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about Education Foundation for Liberation?
Education Foundation for Freedom.
For freedom, sorry. Yeah,
it is a 501c3 nonprofit.
I'm trying to liberate people, right?
We gotta liberate.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Use the synonym. It's a nonprofit that I started because I needed to have it for the type of community engaged work that I want to do, that I wanted to do. And I know one of the things that I'm passionate about is creating platforms for women and girl identified people of color. Like we don't have enough platforms. There's so many young people, that need to be thinking about, as we continue to develop it, because it's definitely not as well known as it should be. But they need to be thinking about, I want to be on the Columbus Women and Girls Fest so that I can say my poetry. Especially Amanda Gorman is giving a lot of people permission right now,
I know that's right.
and ambition and aspiration. And people already have it. It just needs to be nurtured. It just needs to be,
Can we put that in the chat, Raven? Education Foundation for Freedom. And I know that Dr. E has that also on IG. So if you follow Dr. Elaine Richardson on IG, you can also find Education Foundation for Freedom. Because I want to talk about that. I want to talk about why a nonprofit and why now, because I'm going to tell you this, and I guess I'm telling all of Facebook. So I was one of those people that when the pandemic hit, Dr. E, and I know your background because I read your book and I get to see all your tweets and your Facebook posts, et cetera, and I research women. So of course I'm gonna know all your business or something. And so I was one of those people when the pandemic hit, I started kind of cheating on my day job in order to take care of the people who really, really needed me. I'm not saying that my predominantly, white classroom students did not need me, but I did not sign up to triage as a professor. Now, ethically, as a Black woman and as a clinician, I did sign up to triage during a racial and health pandemic. I did. And domestic violence shot through the roof. Black women like you and I who have survived trauma, our symptoms shot up like, whoa, where did this come from? I haven't seen this since you 12, 13, 14. the states was persistent in trying to prevent Black women and other poor women from parenting during the pandemic. So I leaned into it. That's what Mr. Glenn Ross taught me. He said, V, lean into it. Venus, lean into it. And so you did this thing. I don't know if you remember it. I remember I'm like kind of in my little secret space trying to save people through this thing called telehealth. And talk to them, or I should say work with them to save themselves, because we can't save anybody.
Right. Right.
And you were doing this thing during the pandemic, COVID-19. You had a bullhorn, and there was a truck, I think, with a speaker system. And I said, "Oh my God, thank you, Dr. E." Do you remember that? You were getting it.
That was the what do they call? Oh, curbside concerts that I'm involved in here that are sponsored by Can't Stop Columbus and the Greater Columbus Arts Council, who are doing amazing work in the community with artists and making sure that number one, that artists are supported during the pandemic, and number two, that people who are quarantining can be I guess ministered to through music, if you want to put it in that way, because I call music as my ministry as well as my pedagogy. And so it was wonderful that day. Actually, it was voting. That was the last day of voting. And I was out there singing, and a young woman came over who was doing her, she was there with the Biden Harris. She was promoting by people to vote for. They passing out, the voting options and whatnot. And she heard my music, and she came over, and she had the bullhorn, and she was dancing, and I was up there, all right now, yeah. So we singing it, we're dancing, and people are in line voting. So it was organic the way that she came over there with the Biden Harris, and I said, wow, okay, somebody is coming in from the blue, to support. And it was beautiful.
So that was the day. Yeah. That was the day that I decided to stop shrinking. And I said, watch me use all my Supergirl powers to heal, and to heal out loud. You're not an anomaly because you want to use your ministry or your pedagogy based off who you feel like you are spiritually. Right. And so that's why even like in the Instagram, that's why I'm jumping rope, because we have to move. Black women, we die when we don't move, whether it's psychologically or it's physically. It's just a part of our health, whether we want it to be or not. But here I am shrinking, don't want to be too loud because I don't want people to be uncomfortable. I don't want to show my body because I don't want people to think I'm some kind of person. I don't want to see people see me working out. But guess what? Guess what saves people? Working out. And so I'm like, everything that I didn't want to be is what helps us heal and prevents dis-ease. And so when I saw you, I said, shoot, Dr. E can do it. Watch me do it. So that was the day I had an aha moment and said, I cannot stay over here if it's going to stop me from doing what I need to do over here. And you do that all the time.
Thank you, my sister.
You do it all the time. So we definitely
alive.
Keeping yourself, but you're also helping keep other people alive.
Other people exactly. Alive. I need people. I love people. I always have been. Erica Badu says, I'm an over recovering lover, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I feel. Like I over love. And it's okay if there is such a thing to overlove, because I know that the love that has been shared with me, that has kept me alive and that continues to help me recover and heal is mercy, ever, endless mercy. We all need
mercy
love.
Me.
Yeah.
And Maya Angelou said that any human being is capable of doing what any other human being has done. So I owe big time for my being on this earth. And I've done many things that I'm not proud of, and I still think of many things that are not good.
Now I heard some of your story,
You know,
right?
I still
So
think of many things.
when you think about your story, right, and the book that really, really just put you on was what was it? It was Poe. I can't remember.
Poho double
Potent.
PhD.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what were you when you wrote that book, right?
Mhm.
And again, we're working with a lot of girls all around the country, so it's important for us to just be candid. I was just having a conversation, Raven, yesterday with a group of women. We, when professionals, we have to consult with each other and make sure we,
Mhm.
we have the right treatment plan for a person. And our girls are getting hooked real quick, and social media is making it really, really easy, not only to be exploited, but to recruit them into and teaching them how to exploit other girls.
Yep.
Yes,
And it's simple, right? Now, I'm not going to give out methodologies here, but Dr. E, when you think about what you survived in your education, right, your ministry based off your life,
mhm.
right? I learned that from your work in qualitative inquiry. uh, what can we or should we be doing with our girls who are more vulnerable now because of
Mhm.
social technologies?
We got to be in community with them. You can't do nothing if you're not in community with people. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? I feel like it's that's why it's so important, this Black girl movement work that is going on around the
Mhm.
country, and not just Black girls, but all girls. But our
Mm.
expertise and research is focused on Black women and girls of color. I think that the more we can be in community with each other, support each other, listen to each other, learn from each other, heal each other, uh, that there's less, need for forces that are coming into your life and just things that you think you need that you don't need. I'm talking about
Mm.
myself. I'm talking about
Mm.
myself. Um, I have a desire to be in community with other Black women, and
Mm.
I feel that it's important for us to provide platforms, spaces to heal each other, to put each other on, to talk about the things that you're talking about with planet Venus, the mental wealth that we all have, and collectively, we can't be stopped. Collectively,
Mhm.
Mm.
uh, to have this orientation that we're not competing against each other,
Mm.
That's
that
right.
that we're learning from each other, that we're supporting each other. All like and I just keep going back to Amanda Gordon because in your language, she's giving people permission,
Mm.
to see where how she was in urban word, and then
Mm.
her journey to be the inaugural poet and what all else God has for her. And I know many other young
Mm.
women that are powerhouses like her. They just haven't gotten the platform yet. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
I thought about
But
that. Yeah.
Mm.
we all have that Black girl, if you want to call it Black girl magic. We all got it.
Yeah,
We
Mhm.
all got it.
it's true.
Sometimes it's being smoldered by the people that we're around, by the
Mm.
by the. I mean, it's you're not in a place where it can be, massaged and
Yeah.
developed.
Mhm.
So that's why it's important for us. I'm so grateful to talk to you today, sister. This is why I
Mm.
got so excited. I was like, oh, I'm gonna talk to my sister V. And talk to Sister Raven because there's energy in that.
Yep.
We
Yep.
There
need
is.
that. We
There
need
is.
our spaces to do this. And a lot of people don't understand why it's important.
Mm.
But this
Mhm.
Black girl movement, it all gives us uh, permission to
Mhm.
to fight for the things that we need, like the Crown Act
Mm.
and
Mhm.
whatever of the George Floyd Act, the
Mhm.
Mhm.
Breonna's law,
Mhm.
all the things that we need in the schools, in the society. I
Mhm.
love Kimberly Crenshaw. I listen to her. Was
Mhm.
it Under the Black Light? I
Mhm.
Mhm.
get, I
Yeah.
get, I get. It's like church for me. When I
Yes.
listen to what
Yes,
she's doing, when I
it
listen to what you're
is.
doing, when I listen to Adrian Dixon's podcast, I listen to when I see Brittany Cooper, when
Mm.
I
Mm.
see Treva Lindsay, when I
Mhm.
see my sister here, Caroline Inspires Bennett, when I see just different Black women doing their thing, it keeps me
Mhm.
encouraged.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like going to church.
Yeah.
When I
Mhm.
see Angie Stone, when I see Jill Scott, when I see, what's the Toshi Reagan, when I see all these different sisters doing their thing, when I see brothers doing their thing too, I get, especially if they my age too, get on out there with your 60 years and still got right. BB King almost died on stage, almost. He was 80 something.
Yeah.
Cicely Tyson.
Yep.
Tyson.
Yeah. Was
People
she 96?
96.
People were shocked that
96.
she died because she was, every time she stepped out the house, she was slaying.
She was.
Hair laid, makeup sprayed.
So Dr. E too, when I see you embody your words, right? Like you embody this thing called critical literacy, Black critical literacy. You know, and you just mentioned your age, but you're giving us permission to live too.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I love this word, giving us permission.
I mean, think about it. We come from a cultural group, and I'm generalizing here, but we come from a cultural group where people do feel like when they reach a certain age, and some of this is Western culture, that they're just basically like living to die. But you're still embodying life, and so it's like you're showing up full. And so in that fullness, you're giving others permission to live. We're still living.
So many people are giving me permission. We're giving each other, and that's what we're saying about we being in community with each other and building off of each other and growing. I've grown so much through younger Black feminists, younger hip hop feminists, younger artists. Because when you're older, you can't think that you know everything because you old enough to be people's mama. So, that you in community with can put you in check. Can put me in check. I'll take a checking. I'll take a checking if I need it because it helped me grow. I might be hurt because it's somebody I love telling me, but when I reflect on it, I gotta be teachable. You gotta remain humble.
Yeah.
And if you're not open, you can't start withering. And I don't want to wither. I know I use my Revlon and stuff, but
Teachable and reachable. Teachable and reachable. That's gonna be our words. You gotta remain teachable and reachable. Yeah, your Revlon look good. You got to give me some tips, some skincare.
Same.
Skincare. I didn't even know. I didn't know.
You are flawless sitting up there talking about I gotta give you. Well, we'll swap because I know you got some good stuff. Cause see, one thing about you too is you got the Africology thing down too. So I know you got some different shea butters and stuff that I don't know nothing about. You got some black soap from the motherland or something that I don't know.
She has a plug. She's definitely got a plug.
I got the plug
in the motherland.
And so we got about 5 minutes. Dr. E, do you have any questions for us? Is there anything we didn't ask you that we should have asked you?
Probably, but that mean we just gonna do it again. We're just gonna do it again. I'm working on a new one-woman show. I want to put that out there in the universe. It's called Underlying Conditions, Black Women and Girl Identified People and Corona. And it's kind of based for colored girls because it incorporates monologues, poetry, music. Also Nina Simone for women. So it's like a combination of that. But I got to put it in 45 minutes, my 45-minute show, because I don't want my show to be too long, but enough to. So my 4 women are Breonna Taylor, a young lady that I learned. All my stuff comes from news, stories on people. Except my Black trans woman is an amalgamation of things that I've read about and that I know about Black trans women. But I have Breonna Taylor, a young woman I learned about in Chicago, from Chicago, named
Mm,
Lynn Strozer,
mm,
who who suffered uh, disabilities as a child. Her grandmother adopted her or raised her because her mother had substance abuse issues. So she, sent her back down south, and her grandmother built her up and worked with her. And like, don't let these learning disabilities. No, you can do anything. Oh,
mhm,
I said her grandmother. I love
mhm.
her spirit. But anyway, this young woman became a scientist at
Wow.
the
Yeah.
Chicago Field Museum, a
Oh,
DNA
yeah.
scientist. And she
Wow.
got 2 degrees while she was working at this museum in Chicago. But anyway, she died from COVID. That's so
Mm,
this,
Wow.
mm,
the whole thing is about, um, how white supremacy uh, influences so much that happens in our lives.
mm, mm,
And, for example, for the song that I'm writing for that young lady is twice as hard, half as far, because we
Mm,
have to
mm,
work. And
mm,
that's one of the ideologies that our parents taught us, right?
it's true.
You
It's
got
mhm.
to
true.
work twice as
It's
hard to be
hard.
working
Hmm.
half as much.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
that is racial capitalism that we are practicing because
Hmm.
we internalized it because we have to
Yeah.
survive. But it
Yep.
killed her because she worked. She was like the diversity person for her and she just gave and gave and gave and gave. And what really drew me to her story when I read it, or the news clips that I found about her, was that her family did a
Mm.
GoFundMe to start a scholarship in her name. Now,
Wow.
to
Yeah.
me, all of these, her supervisors and she was the only Black person
Mm,
there. She was the diversity program
mm,
for the Science Museum, the Field Museum,
mm,
and how she would mentor these Black kids and try to get them in there to see that they too could,
mm,
do biology
Yeah.
and science and whatnot. But all of that killed her. You see
Mm,
what I'm saying?
mhm,
All of
mm,
that white supremacist ideology killed her and left
mhm,
her as an essential worker and as the
mm, mm,
diversity force. You see what I'm saying?
mhm.
yeah.
Oh, they killed, and that's so. When I read that and I said her family had to do a GoFundMe for her
Mm.
scholarship.
Her
That's
family. You
wrong.
got a whole million
Ex-
dollar, yeah, organization.
Whew. All right. She started.
I think we free.
She,
Yep, we froze. Yep, she got that backhand slap look.
she
She gonna slap white supremacy.
that was a trigger word.
Facebook shut us down.
Don't talk about the Field Museum.
All right.
Wow.
As you got DNA molecules on your shirt, that is too funny, right?
Yes, my melanin shirt.
Melanin. Yeah. So are we gonna get Dr. E back? Are we gonna get her
No.
back in time? And so Raven, I'll let you kind of piggyback off what she was saying, or contextualize it. She'll come back in.
Hmm.
What do you think? Like, what do you think about like that relationship between leaving us vulnerable in the middle of a health pandemic, and yet how our families and communities step up to continue like the work we try to do?
That's really hard. And even thinking about the work that I'm doing with, my thesis, like that was a huge question that was asked to me. And I was like, I don't even know how to answer that.
Mm,
Because on one end, we shouldn't have to do this work, but we are so invested in our own survival that
mm,
we will, I guess, I guess risk our own lives in order to save our communities.
mm,
And so like that's something that I really struggle with, because it's like you got to maintain your self-care, but you also have to you have 10,000 people behind you that are looking for that way to get in and a way to survive, and to not just survive, to thrive.
mm,
Um, we got to work from within, we got to work from without,
mm,
from
mm,
we have to work in both ways, because that's the
mm,
only way it's gonna be changed.
mm,
um I think of all the women in my family who have risked everything in order for me to get here, and like
mm,
they are like my biggest supporters.
mm,
But I constantly think about like what all the things that they gave up in order
mm,
for me to be here, in order for my niece to be here. Like
mm.
I
So
don't
the
know how to
risk and the sacrifice. And
exactly.
and I think with Dr. E, it's interesting because she's a professor. like a very successful professor,
Yeah.
right? I think we have a lot of people now with degrees, but that doesn't mean that they're, invested in the academy and that they're thriving in their careers and they're contributing and giving to other people and continuing our knowledges, right? Our knowledge base and the type of practices that we have to be engaged in. So she's a professor, a Black woman professor with impact. She's an artist.
A singer, songwriter.
A singer,
A songwriter.
and actor. Like,
yes.
Right? Like, I'm feeling really, really like I need to go get some skills.
Right? I'm like, do you need me to do anything else for Planet Venus?
And even as a professor, she has to research, she has to write, she has to develop curriculum, she has to teach, she has to do service, so that's a lot. Like, we're up to like 4 or 5. And she has her nonprofit, right, which is the Education Foundation for Freedom. And I found out, looking at her bio, she also has like a recording, like a studio or something, like record company, or maybe she collaborates with others. I don't know, but everything she does is collaboration. But that's a boss chick.
It absolutely, just like she is the epitome of mental wealth. And like, even looking at her bio, her talking about her singing, songwriting, yes, it is work, but it seems like she described it as it being something that sustains her. And I think that is something that we as Black women are not considering. And you always ask this question, like, what is your soul work? What is this work and that work? Because you have to have that work that sustains you. And I feel like she's like mastered that on like a whole nother level. I'm like, I should.
She has her paid labor and she has her soul work.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think they both can go hand in hand. I think that's what she's teaching us, or, when I say giving permission. And I think that's the important part of these intergenerational conversations.
Exactly.
Is that she just taught us you can, they can overlap. We can have both. We can embody both. So this was a great way. I felt like this is almost like a Sunday, like we just went to church or mosque or the temple or wherever we go. The altar.
I know, right? You were talking, I was like, yes.
So this is a good way to like start our Saturdays. Like, this makes me like now want to, like, I should go write, or maybe I should like create a play, or maybe I should sing.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I can see. And so I think this is definitely great, like it's a cultural artifact, right? But it's also great collateral. So when we're working with the youth, the young people, they can see that you have permission. It's like our ritual work when the elders say you have
to be both and
permission. Yeah, do you, boo, right? Do you, like, be all of you, and that's how you bring forth the spirit. And so, Raven, I'm going to end on that note. I'll allow you to, give us, close us out, and where people can find us all over social media or online. But great conversation. Yes. Great conversation.
It was a fantastic conversation. I'm really grateful to be in here. Everyone's like, the queens, and I'm like, I know I'm here. So it's really great. So thank you all for coming on and watching this. Thank you, Dr. Richardson, for coming on and just having this conversation with us wherever you are. And so you can find us right here on Planet Venus Institute, our page on Facebook. We're also Planet Venus Institute on Instagram. We also have a Twitter, and it's Planet Venus 365. And I also want to give Dr. Richardson her plug, her website. I have put inside the comments. You can find her books. You can find her recordings, her songs, all of it housed on giveusfreerecords.com. So thank you all for watching, and I look forward to doing this again. Thank you,
and
Dr.
I can't
V.
wait to our next Planet Venus Front Porch Talks, Front Porch Politics, all that good stuff. Politics. So see you all later. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.